In preparation for my trip to the seaside today, I did a quick search on YouTube for seascape photography tips, and it seemed that every video that I clicked on, I was getting very similar advice. Slow your shutter speed down to emphasize the blurred movement of the water. Shoot during golden hour when the light's at its best. Get closer to the sea to help it to fill the frame and create impact. Select a subject that breaks the monotony of the scene and use strong diagonal lines to create depth and lead the eye through the shot. And if you're really feeling adventurous, you could try an intentional camera movement panning shot across the horizon. Steady on. Follow these tips and you're bound to get some half-decent results, especially with a little bit of practice. But if you're anything like me, you might find that following this advice leads to quite sickly results. Photographs that I like to call textbook shots, where everybody follows the rules and fundamentals, but they kind of close the door on our own personal interpretation of a scene and also our creative license. In this video, I want to share with you some practical examples of how we can push the boundaries of seascape photography, respecting the fundamentals, but thinking a little bit more for ourselves, leaving those sickly seascapes behind and cutting through those coastal cliches. As you can probably tell, it's definitely not golden hour. It's just gone 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it's a gloriously bright sunny day. So the chances of me slowing down the water movement sufficiently, even with a neutral density filter, is probably going to be a non-starter because it's just going to look washed out. So I've decided to concentrate on some of these old decaying pillboxes, war defences that have crumbled onto the beach from the cliffs above. Because I think that one of the most underrated composition techniques when it comes to seascape photography is using height to create interest and fill the frame. I also like this really nice complementary colour scheme of the blue of the sky and these vibrant green mosses that are clinging to the rocks, as well as the texture of the seaweed. So combining this with the height and depth and perspective of the beach behind, I think could make a really interesting photograph. I think the main thing that I've got to be careful about when composing this shot is the cliff and the headland jutting out behind me on the horizon. With the height being on the left-hand side with this part of the pillbox, that could quite easily unbalance the composition by drawing your eye too far across towards the left-hand side of the frame. So what I'm thinking I might do here is go portrait, place the edge of the pillbox on the right-hand third of the frame and get down to this low level. So I'm not only emphasising the height above the horizon line, but I'm also concentrating on some of the textures on the rocks and also the reflections of the rocks in this pool here. That's getting rid of that complicated horizon line behind and just simplifying the composition a little bit more. So this might not be your standard idea of what a seascape photo is or should be, but I think it still follows a lot of those fundamentals, but also breathes a little bit of life in terms of history and my own personal perspective on the seascape that I'm photographing. If we're always following people's advice and taking those textbook shots, it can often stop us from thinking about the meaning of things in our photographs. As we go in search of technically perfect ideal scenes, we can forget about what the things in our photographs actually mean, which can stop us from telling stories or getting a meaning across through our photographs. For this second example, I've ventured out onto this sandbank which has appeared as the tide's been going out around me. And it's created this really strange illusion where we're almost photographing back towards the beach, but we can still see the sea coming in. And I thought this would be a really interesting composition to try out. Unlike in the last shot, we haven't got much physical height in this photograph. It's more about the layers of depth. And with that in mind, what I might do is crop this photograph down to a letterbox style crop, So we're losing the boring sky and too much in the foreground and just concentrating on what's in the middle. And what this is hopefully going to do is draw your eye over the sea towards the people walking on the beach and the headland jutting out in the background, and create this illusion that it feels like when we took this photograph we're actually out in the sea, even though we're not. We're on a sandbank looking across the beach. Again, I've got down quite low to emphasise the width and the scale of the seascape. But going back to that idea of meaning, what I'm trying to get across in this shot is this feeling of summertime, of being on holiday. And I think the single person in the midground, in the sea, represents this feeling, as well as that sort of almost overexposed, washed out look, which you can only get on a day like today. After photographing the remnants of the pillboxes on the beach, I've walked a little bit further up the coastal path and found this more substantial building. And for our next example, I thought it'd be really interesting to see how we can pair documentary and seascape together to show off a bit more of the history of this coastal landscape. From a photography point of view, I think there are potentially a couple of ways we could attack this scene. The first is just that standard straight-on documentary view of this is a red brick old war defence building and there's a seascape behind it. The other thing that I might want to weave in is there's quite a few bits of overgrown foliage and brambles that are around this little location, and maybe putting those in the foreground and balancing them with the building and the seascape behind might just add some layers of depth, encourage you to meander through the scene rather than zipping straight to the building and then to the seascape beyond, and bring in a little bit of gritty nature, which I think fits a landscape like this. The second composition that I was thinking of going for with this building is actually inside, looking out through these two windows. My intention is to expose for what's going on outside the windows. So you see the seascape through this very contrasty, shadowy frame. Not only is it adding to that gritty feel that I'm trying to get across, it's also maybe showing off the perspective of the people that used to be in this building during wartime. The other thing that using that high contrast effect is going to do, as well as drawing your eye out of the windows, is to get rid of some of this annoying graffiti that's on the walls on the inside of the building. I don't really think swastikas and gentleman appendages are the kind of vibe that I'm trying to go for. There'll be some of you watching this video that are quite tempted to put in the comments, Tom, the photographs that you shared with us there aren't seascape photos. They're historical documentary photos. They're holiday snaps. But that's probably because you're still thinking from that textbook fundamental perspective. Having a good grasp of the fundamentals is vital for every single photographer, because it helps us to formulate compositions and understand how to set our camera. But if we all stop at the fundamentals, it's then when our photographs start to become cliches. They start to become a little bit sickly. Excellent photographers will take those fundamentals and push them further by adding their own interpretations to photographs and pushing the boundaries of what's possible within different genres. By all means, follow the fundamentals, but don't be scared to blur genres and dare to be different. Because by doing that, you'll set your photographs apart, not because they're idealistic and sickly, but because they are unique to you. I'd love to hear your comments on this subject, so please share them with me. I love to read them. And if you want to take this subject further, then watch this video next. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, bye for now. Thank you very much for watching.